I've been arrested for contempt of court before.
According to court documents, Dolcefino went up to the judge as he sat on the bench and demanded to interview him.
For daring to question a judge about corruption.
The judge finally threatened to have him arrested, to which Dolcefino allegedly replied, quote, "Do what you have to do."
I even made the local news in my fancy orange jail jumpsuit and shackles. It was total bullshit. The case was thrown out after our hidden camera proved the judge wasn't telling the truth. A grand jury even indicted him. As we all know, there's been a lot of debate lately about free speech, and I'm sure you're not shocked to hear that I'm a big fan of the First Amendment. They don't call it numero uno for nothing. That's why we're investigating a free speech shocker playing out in Angleton, Texas.
They trampled all over my civil rights. This is just the beginning. I'm not stopping. I'm not done calling out the corruption around here. I challenge my opponent to release a public statement.
Texas lawman Kevin Henry now owns a media company called Texpose Media. Get it?
But I'm far from done.
Diving deep into the murky waters of corruption in Brazoria County, he says. Henry ran for sheriff last year.
I have lived in Brazoria County most of my 42 years.
Against incumbent Bo Stallman. Henry lost.
Kevin Henry is probably one of my biggest fans. He does like to say my name a lot.
Henry is part of a growing breed of citizens who watchdog their government online.
With law and order.
He only has about 6,000 followers on Facebook, but he's now facing an expensive First Amendment legal battle that's trying to silence him. When we showed up in court the other day, we never imagined that Brazoria County District Judge Greg Hill was actually going to put Henry in jail for supposedly violating a court order to take down some of the posts. Even though he already had, the judge still threw the book at Henry. 30 days in jail.
I can't even express how speechless I am about what the judge has done in this case.
Jeff Diamond is also a lawyer for us, but we're used to these First Amendment battles. They're expensive. Kevin Henry isn't.
On another note, we will be dropping some videos very soon. I hope you find them informative.
It is a violation of every fundamental due process rights that makes up our jurisprudence system. Basic first-year law school fundamental jurisprudence.
Henry's being sued for defamation by this guy, Dees, a local political power broker in Angleton who claims his reputation has been ruined forever, in part because he's a close friend of the Brazoria County Sheriff.
Me and Derek, we're high school. We went to high school together, so I've known him for a long time, and we are close friends.
In his lawsuit, Dees claims Henry is a sore loser since he lost the election and has been on a rampage ever since, seeking to discredit the sheriff and his friends, like Dees. We're going to tell you why Mr. Dees thinks Mr. Henry ruined his reputation so badly in a minute. But first, the beginning of this story. It was last October during the sheriff's campaign, and this video posted on Facebook.
And I wanted to let you guys know that I am not the one under investigation by the Texas Rangers for indecent exposure.
The only other guy running was the sheriff, so you could do the math. The local newspaper The Facts slammed Henry days later in an editorial, quoting, "There is no proof Henry's allegations have any merit. Called them flimsy, unfounded. But we see no evidence the Facts ever got the facts after that." But the alleged victim, she acted. 2 days after that editorial, the office manager at this medical clinic filed a formal police report with the Angleton Police Department, claiming that months before, the sheriff had done just that, exposed his apparently elongated penis to her. We've got a copy of the police report. Turns out the sheriff has seen it too.
I am aware of an allegation, yes.
Have you ever seen the police report?
Filed from what agency?
Angleton Police. Seen this?
I have seen this. Yes, I have.
The alleged victim at the medical clinic said she was, quote, shocked and uncomfortable by what the sheriff did. She did not want the Angleton police to proceed with a criminal investigation, but she wanted to document what she says happened. Okay, so here's your chance. Was she lying?
Again, what I'm telling you.
I know you appreciate victims. I appreciate it.
I do. So if she felt like something happened here, I will tell you that I have never exposed myself, and I never had it, and I absolutely never will.
But Stallman confirmed something else that Henry told the newspaper back then, that the Texas Rangers were on the case. They denied it to the newspaper back then, but the sheriff confirms their investigation.
And I'm very glad they did. I'm very glad that they looked into these allegations and they did a thorough job, and ultimately it was unfounded.
But what kind of investigation into alleged indecency doesn't include an interview with the person accused of doing it? Did they ever interview you?
They never did.
So how could it have been thorough? No offense. Henry posted that Stallman was being protected by what he called the, quote, county swamp, that half the town was drinking the Kool-Aid mixed by the local district attorney. And a few folks in town may have already heard this story, but in court papers, Dees may have just exposed himself to a lot more questions than if he hadn't filed suit in the first place. He claims Henry and others were passing around a story of another sex-related allegation, that the sheriff and Dees had supposedly given alcohol to a 17-year-old girl and then raped her in an apartment above the restaurant, the Dirty South. Dees Properties LLC is the owner of the property.
And it's completely frivolous, as you know. It can't be any more false than anything else that you've seen in there.
You haven't done anything inappropriate with women.
Not at all.
Sure.
Not at all.
But it was another Henry Facebook post in September that must have really pissed Dees off, caused him emotional and financial damage, irreparable harm to his reputation. Here it is. Why does everyone keep telling me to look into Derek Dees, Henry wrote? Tons of messages and pretty big allegations.
And for him to say people are raising allegations, especially when he doesn't go into the content of them, is fundamentally protected speech.
Henry had invited Dees to come on his podcast to talk about it. Doesn't the Dees lawsuit confirm that there were allegations being made in the first place?
If you spent a lifetime building your reputation and that was undone by one person posting something on Facebook who actually made no allegations whatsoever, then you never had a reputation, or if you did, it certainly wasn't a good one to begin with.
Henry had been ordered to remove the post, and he did so 6 days later, but after he had hired a lawyer.
You're punishing somebody for taking the time to go out and find a lawyer and understand what their rights were.
Tell that to the judge. But should this local district judge have even handled this case in the first place? Or is he part of what Henry calls the swamp? It may not be a big deal that the judge and his wife are Facebook friends with Derek Dees' wife. Angela Dees is the county treasurer. They sure look like they're chums, campaigning together, smiling for the camera. That's her in the courtroom hallway the other day. And Henry is facing a judge who has his arm around Dees in this photo we have. They seem to be pretty friendly too. Does that equal justice to you? Judges in Texas are not required to recuse themselves just because of campaign contributions, even friendship. But I've always said that judges have an obligation to disclose their relationships to all the parties in court, and that did not happen here. Judge Hill used to be a councilman in Pearland, had an unsuccessful run for Congress.
I'm running for Congress because mainstream suburban values are under assault.
He lost in the primary. His buddy, the sheriff, gave him a big donation. And when Hill ran for judge of the 239th District Court, he got a contribution from one of Dees' kinfolk. But many of the pictures we've seen show a pretty close relationship between the judge and Dees' wife. Pictures that raise legitimate questions about the judge's impartiality, his objectivity, his ethics. It's clear that Judge Hill is at the very least political allies and friends with the very people that Kevin Henry is investigating. So throwing him in jail, Judge, is likely only going to fuel the questions about whether there's a Brazoria County swamp. Henry spent 3 nights in jail. the Texas appeals court ordered him released on a $1,000 bond and said there were serious questions about whether Judge Hill was wrong to try to stop Henry's free speech.
I promise you, what they did to me right there, that's just the beginning of it. I'm not done.
I'm real big on accountability. And one thing about these investigations or these allegations is I am very glad and I welcome accountability. I welcome investigations into any allegation because those are some serious allegations that need to be looked into.
The sheriff's getting his friend to do his bidding for him. And the second Mr. Dees' name came up, he found a welcome participant, a heavy campaign donor, and a good friend to go out and file this action.
Stay tuned.